Are you looking for a Thunderbolt 4 hub for your Mac? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to the channel. So if you do watch my channel, you know I did a ton of videos on hubs recently. One of them I just did for the M2 Mac Mini. I'll show a picture of it right here. And you can see that these are kind of innovative hubs. I did one over here for the iMac. I'm going to point to it, but I'll show you a picture of that one as well. So those are kind of innovative hubs, but this one's going to be a Thunderbolt 4 hub, and I'm going to get into the reasons why you'd want to buy one of these. But let me just set the stage by saying right off the bat that this is a product showcase video, all right? So I'm not going to be reviewing this in full. I'm just going to be showcasing it. I'll have links in the description if you want to check it out. But I'll show you the basic features, what it's all about, the cost, and then maybe a couple little tests here and there. But there's so many variables with these hubs, like what cables you're using and what kind of device you're connecting into and all that kind of stuff. This works with Mac and Windows, but I don't want to get into all that, so I'm just doing a product showcase. I just want you to keep that in mind, and then let's go ahead and talk about this a little more. All right, before I get into the features and all that stuff, I just want to explain, like, why would you actually want a hub that's a Thunderbolt 4 hub? Why can't you just buy a cheaper hub? This hub costs $165. I'll put the picture of Amazon right here. And again, I'll have a link to it. I mean, obviously they're not cheap, right? So, but no Thunderbolt 4 hub is. So why would you want that? This is, you know, as far in that price range, it's going to be very comparable to other hubs out there. So the reason you want this is because the 40 gigabit per second data transfer, or you can push more monitors or higher resolution monitors and things like that because of that data transfer, the 40 gigabits per second this can handle. Most of the other hubs you see that are a lot cheaper, they're at 10 gigabit per second. So if you're basically connecting an external hard drive or something else, you're going to lose some speed unless you have a Thunderbolt 4. So you pay a little bit extra to get a little extra, right? And that's what this is all about. So this hub in particular, this is by UTech Smart, and it's basically the model number. Here's the box right over here. I'll show you some close-ups as I'm talking about this, just so you can see it. But the model number is T4803, and that's going to be T4803, and this is again by UTech Smart. And here's the box right over here. You can see it comes with a great box, and here's I'll just show you a picture of all the accessories that are laid out on the table there, and I'll get into what those are in a second. But overall, the build quality of this thing is pretty good. It's metal on 3 different sides. It does have a plastic bottom on it, but it does have, again, metal on all 3 sides, so that's kind of nice, maybe for heat, getting rid of heat and stuff. Overall, though, it does come with a power brick, which a lot of people are going to ask, why do you need this? Well, most Thunderbolt 4 hubs do have this. It's pretty big, obviously, but it plugs basically into the back of this and powers what it needs to power. And I'll show you close-ups in the bottom of it if you want to kind of zoom in there and read off some of the specs on the power brick. You can go ahead and pause it there. In any case, oh yeah, one other thing too is this does come, for that cost, it does come with about a 2.5, almost maybe 2.5 foot Thunderbolt 4 cable. So this is worth about $25 or something just by itself. I'm going to have a link. I'll show you a picture here of a good brand that you can buy that are pretty inexpensive also if you want more Thunderbolt 4 cables, because you need more of them. So look at that and you can see what that is right there. I'll have a link to that in the description. Long story short though, this UTech Smart Hub is, what makes it interesting? So for the cost, let's just talk about what it has on it. It does have a button on the front right here, and this powers it once you have it plugged in. Now this is actually, the one thing I don't like is it's plastic. It should probably be metal button, but it's plastic, but it seems pretty solid. So here's where the meat and potatoes are. On the back, it does have a place for the power connector, but then it has three Thunderbolt 4 ports on the back. I'll show you a close-up of that. And those are all dedicated for data, and you can also charge off of that up to, it says 15 watts, so like peripherals and like your cell phone and stuff. But really it's the 40 gigabit per second data on those 3 ports there. But that's not all it has. So on one side over here, this is kind of the host port, and it's also Thunderbolt. And basically what this does is this allows you to, a couple different things. It connects into your device, so I can connect this into my computer directly. You connect through this one, but it can also charge. So you can charge at 60 watts over here. So if you have kind of a MacBook Air or something like that down here, I can go ahead and charge off of this one. These ones are, again, 15 watts only on the front, but the one on the side is up to 60 watts, it said, so you can go ahead and charge off of that if you need to. And then finally on the other side over here is going to be just kind of a bonus port. It's a USB-A, I think it's Gen 2, 10 gigabit per second USB-A port over there, and that kind of rounds out all the ports you get with this. So let's talk about a couple other things as we kind of go along here. So as far as external displays, what can this do? It says on documentation this can work for M1 Max and M2 Max. It says it can do basically one 8K at 30 hertz, so giant 8K screen, but only at 30 hertz, or it can do 2 4K, and which are going to be 60 hertz each, so 2 4K 60 hertz on the M1 and M2. And the 2 4K can be dual extended displays, which means you don't have to have the same content on all 3 screens. They can be all separate content. Oh yeah, I just found out really quickly, I did find out that it says power input. It's 120 watts slash 20 volts dash 7.5 amps for all it's worth. And then finally, like I had mentioned before, it does come with that cable, which is like a $20, probably $25 accessory, which is nice to get it just in case you need it. This is what you'd use to connect directly into your computer or device. All right, so like I said, this is more of a product showcase, but I did do a couple tests on this thing. It seemed to work really well. I used it on all my different Apple devices. I have all M1 and M2 devices, around my house right now. So everything worked really good. It's all plug and play. There's no extra software, that you need to load or anything like that, which is really nice on this thing. So that's number one. Number two is I actually did kind of a hard drive test. So I do have a, Thunderbolt enclosure for an external hard drive, and I'm running an NVMe drive that's capable of about 3,000 megabytes per second. So it's a very fast drive. I mean, I guess that's not even that fast for today, but it's about 3,000. When I connected it directly through this hub and then basically into my computer, I was still able, and I'll show you some numbers here, in the 2,500, somewhere in that range. So it basically didn't lose a lot. And there's always going to be some overhead in these type of things. And so that's where the Thunderbolt, 4 shines really, basically. So if I had a 10 gigabit connection there, you have to divide that by 8. So if you have a 10 gigabit connection that you're going through, not a 40 gigabit, you basically can go up to about, 1,250 megabytes per second is the most you'll get, even if your drive's faster on the outside. This one, though, obviously is 40 gigabits per second. So divide that by 8. I believe that's about 5,000 megabytes per second. Somewhere, I think that's, 4 times that. So 5,000 megabytes per second. So my drive was only 3,000 though, but I was able to get about 2,500 up and down from that, which is actually pretty impressive. So the one test I did on this with the one drive that I used and with everything else combined, obviously it worked for me. Again, that's what I'm saying. I'm not doing a full review here, a full test, but overall it held its own, and I can kind of recommend that part at least. It worked really well. And then basically I don't have an 8K monitor. I'm not Bill Gates here, so I can't do that. But I did, test it through 2 4K displays, external 4K displays, and it was able to do it. And obviously it worked great, so I had no problems with it at all. Again, I'm not going to get into it because it depends on the cables you're using and everything else, depending on your monitor as well, because a lot of times they can be finicky with certain things. But for me, it did work. And like I said, I recommend just trying. If you're thinking about a Thunderbolt, try it. And then obviously using something like Amazon or something, and you can return it if it doesn't work for you. But overall, so far, it's been working really well. All right, so I'm going to wrap up the product showcase. I just wanted to show you what it is, what it costs. Here's the box, what you get in the box, things like that. And again, I do a whole bunch of different videos on my channel. You guys can check it out. I have around, I think, 500 Apple-related videos. I try to find products that are not, what the big YouTubers do. You see, the problem with YouTube is all the big YouTubers get kind of these deals with big companies, right? So they're all reviewing the same equipment, and you don't get to see like the little small guys like this. And a lot of times these are pretty good hubs, especially the other ones I've done. This one, like I said, I think it is. I just haven't done a long enough test yet. But overall, I recommend at least trying it out, right? It's worked for me in all the aspects that I needed it to. So that's what my channel's about. If you guys like things like that, where I'm going to be testing different stuff that's maybe not the top end stuff as far as what people are buying, only because people don't know a lot about them. These are these little smaller names like this that actually do a really good job. They have really good support, and they actually support their product pretty well. So these are the kind of products I look for, and I look for those innovative hubs like I showed you earlier with the Mac Mini hub, or this kind of hub over here. So let me know in your comments, do you guys like these kind of videos of this kind of more off the beaten trail type stuff, or do you guys want to stick to just the main stuff? I like, life's short, right? I like to find and test a lot of different stuff and look at stuff and fool around with stuff. So all I can tell you is so far so good, and definitely check them out. Again, it's model number T4803 UTech Smart. So at the end of the day, again, do your own research, and everyone have a great week and have a great month. I'll talk to everybody soon. Peace.